Hello all, welcome back. Welcome back to A View from Here 64. So as you know, my channel is about how are we coping with our older age, with changes that may be occurring in our lives, with matters of the heart changing, or just changing as we're getting older. Like, for us women, most of us now have completed menopause. We're into a new phase in our physical body and our aging body, and the way we look, the way we're presenting ourselves to the world. And I believe a lot of big questions arise in this time of our lives. I know for me it definitely has, because I had a relationship breakup and my life has been, well, it hasn't been. I really chose to renew it. Like, what am I going to do? I'm 64, I'm single, I've been hanging around like a shag on a rock, as they say, waiting for this relationship to sort of come to its fullness. And it's, it only was 15, 20 years, doesn't matter, here and there. And I say that because we broke off, got back together, broke off, got back together. And so in that, there was a lot of times apart as well as back together. So firstly, though, I'm going to apologise for not appearing last Sunday. I really wanted this to be my Sunday ritual, but I had a tooth extracted, a surprise extraction, and that just put me out of action. I've actually had a week off work. I went back and stayed with family, my eldest son, his wife, and my beautiful grandsons, and their entourage of animals. And I stayed there just to feel comforted. I'm still a bit of a sook. I don't like being in pain. And I think they're the times when I really miss my family, is those times where I really love that connection, that nurturing. So my apologies for not appearing, but today is Sunday. I think it's the 14th of July, and I wanted to come back on because I'm really passionate. I have so many thoughts about things I want to share, that, and I just really pray that you get something out of it. But what I was really thinking about over the last week, and a week to speak about for the last week, but which I've been reflecting on for a long time, but particularly I'm going to say in these last 6 to 12 months, when massive changes are happening in my life, is when you decide on something, you make a change in your life, what effects that has on the people around you. So for me, I just went like, I'm going to say, with this flow of life. If we were fighting and we broke up and I came back to Melbourne, which was usually the call, and tried to start my life again, or at one stage I went to the Peninsula and tried to start my life there again. So when those times were happening, I found I made lots of big steps in my personal growth, which is always where I want to go. But I didn't really consider the consequences of those around me, like how that changed my life constantly. Because when I'm with my partner and we were living, a couple of hours out of Melbourne and away from family, a couple of hours plus, it was just us, and it was very, a lot of solitude, and that I could make a lot of decisions or do a lot of things in my life that didn't have an effect on anyone other than my partner. But because I was doing what he wanted me to do anyway, it didn't sort of have an effect on him. But when I came back to Melbourne, I was back in the swing of everybody's life. And it was like, oh, there she is again. Now I'm encroaching back in their lives and my friends' lives. And when I go back to the country, to my ex-partner, then I didn't need the friendship so much, or they weren't called for. It was too far away, and so people might come and visit. They'd come and stay a night or two, normally two, because it was too far for them to come just for one night. And I saw family mostly when I came to visit them, because they have busy lives and couldn't manage to get there on a weekend. because of sports, friends, family, their new family, so on it goes. So, excuse me, I went for a beautiful walk today at the ocean, and I'll tell you about that shortly. But excuse me while I do this. It certainly cleaned out the sinuses, it was amazing. So, but I never really considered how that was affecting everybody's life. And I don't think I ever really did that. I just did, I'm sad, I need to get out of here, I'm scared, I need to get away from him. Oh, it's all good now and it seems safe again, and I really want to give this a go, and off I'd go again. And it was this toing and froing all the time. And it was interesting because even though I had that week off work and I stayed with my son and his wife and family, I also went away for the weekend for a girls' weekend and caught up with my sisters and a couple of really close friends of ours. And it was a fabulous time, and that was down on the Mornington Peninsula, so hence the ocean walk today. But the comment that went around was, what's Barb doing now? Because there's been always these big changes in my life. And it's so true, but it's made as a comment in a lot of respect, because these people in my life have a lot of respect for me and my choices and why and how and why I did it, and they understand my story. And they also really love that there's always an adventure in my life. But this time my adventures are more conscious. They are conscious. They're not more conscious, they're conscious. I want to be conscious of other people in my life. I want to be aware of their feelings and emotions and how my life affects those who love me. It affects them. So if I'm coming and going and disappearing and coming back, and then I disappear and I come back, so I've made this great choice in my life. I know it's a great choice for myself, my family, my loved ones, that I'm moving back to be close with them. Living close to them, that's already, the decision's made, it's already been dealt with. It's just now timing, because the place I'm moving into needs some work, and so there's some renovations to be done. So it may not be until early January. This side of Christmas, I've fingers crossed, it might be earlier, I don't know. But they're the things that are happening, and I'm consciously aware of why I'm doing it this time. It's not just willy-nilly. It's not just, oh, I want to go back. I need him in my life. I want to go and fix this problem that we've got, because I was the one with the magic wand and I was going to fix everything because everything was my fault. And I really believed that. So I kept going back and trying to change it and make it better. And in doing so, it was just getting worse. So that never did work. But the theory behind it was all good at the time. And anyhow, that coming and going was very disruptive in my life. I've had a lot of moves. I've rented places, I've bought places, I sold places. It was just a crazy time trying to orchestrate my life. Am I with this man? Am I back with my family? I'm pushed and pulled. I did that because I was trying to please everybody, but never ever please myself. And when this occurred over the last 12 months of me really questioning, Barb, what is it that you're after? What are your loves in your life? And that clue was given to me to research, really, was a couple of close girlfriends. One kept saying, what do you value in your life? Where do your values lie, and what are you wanting? Another close friend said, look at the things that you've always loved in your life. Since I've known you, Barb, you've talked about your family like they are cherished in your heart. Why aren't you there with them? So that got me going in again and really looking and praying. What are you doing, Barb? Where do you want to be? I came to this town, as I said in my last video, took a job, great opportunity, but it's definitely not the place I want to be. And the sooner I leave, for me, the more comfortable I'm going to be. It's a very cold part of Victoria. It's a very isolated place for me. And I just leaving my loved ones today. It's hard work. I can tell you. I get in the car and I get very emotional. It's it's like saying goodbye, like I'm going on a trip for 6 months and I'm going back again on Friday. But that's how it feels. It's very deep parting because I'm coming back to a job that I no longer desire to be at, a place I don't like living at, town I'm not enjoying, and so that it's not pleasing. What I find pleasing is that it's given me the opportunity to do this. This has come out of what do you love, Barb? What do you love in your life? I've loved working with people. I love it. When I was doing kinesiology and meditation, absolutely loved it. I took those retreats and I watched people grow. And I'm also growing. With every stage I go through in my life, there's growth. And so they're the things that we're doing. Look at the choices you make. Look at how it's going to affect. It's like that Mr. Magoo, driving along blindly, cars crashing all around him because he's not paying attention. He's just going forward, doing his thing as a blind man, basically. And I feel like that's how I lead my life. I just kept crashing, driving along and crashing. Somebody would come and pick up the pieces. There was cars crashing all around me. I didn't consider what people were thinking. I remember the tears when my first opportunity to move to the country came. And I was so sad and yet so joyful to be starting a life with my man, but really, really sad to be leaving my family. A lot of tears with my daughter-in-law at the time, and makes me feel really sad now when I think about it. It was something I didn't consider what I was doing to the people I was leaving behind. And I know that sounds dramatic, doesn't it? Because it was 2.5 hours drive away. It's no big deal. People move interstate, they move overseas. But for me, this Barbara, who adores her family and would give anything to be able to help them, assist them in life, make them happy, make their lives easier, be that mama bear, be that matriarch, I walked away and I left. And that is really, really unusual for me. And people that know me just go, yeah, it's just not in me whatsoever. So I've been contemplating that. I've been reflecting back on my choices, not to be bitter with myself, not to be resentful with myself, or the people, or the person I was running after all the time, but to look at me and why. Why did I do that? Why did I sacrifice my life and put this burden onto family and friends without any consideration? And it really was without consideration, I've got to be honest. That relationship was just all consuming and I wanted it and I was going to do anything to have it. And I did that a few times and that's very, very hurtful. And that destruction. But you know how grateful I am because my family have not judged me on it. Well, they may have judged me. That could be wrong. They haven't turned their backs on me. They have said, it's okay. Come home. Yeah, we can't wait for you to be back. It's been a really welcome home. This time more than ever, because this time it's my forever home. You heard me say it. It's definitely my forever home. I am really excited about having a forever home. I am excited to be living so close to my family, around the corner from one of my sisters, stone's throw from people. It's just fantastic. People, friends and family. And I've got already ideas about what I'd love to do when I go back to Melbourne. I don't just want to sit around and twiddle my thumbs and do nothing and go into retirement and just be a full-time grandmother. I'm looking forward to being with my family a lot more. Of course I am, and helping out looking after my grandchildren, but I also love working with people. I love being able to assist people where I can, even though I will choose to work differently. That's going to be on board if I can keep doing this YouTube channel and help out, because every time I believe I share my story and what the mistakes, they're inverted commas, they were errors by default, errors from the heart, what I thought was right at the time for myself and my partner. But I really know that there is like this wake. It's a Mr. Magoo driving car scenario, but it's also like when you're on a wakeboard behind a boat and it's just chaos. That water is chaotic. After you go through and have that smooth opening and you're gliding along, there's just chaos behind you. The water's going everywhere, it's rippling, it's causing this effect. And that's what I've done. There's a ripple effect of my choices. So now my choices have to consider other people. I'm not just flowing through life going, oh, this'll do, that'll do. It's more considerate. It has to be. I don't like what I've done. I'm not happy with my behaviour from the past. So if I'm not choosing to get growth from where I've been in my life, I'm just going to be the person who grows older doing the same thing over and over again. I don't want to be caught up in somebody else's life again. So if I'm not aware and I'm not making really good choices for myself, I could easily get caught up in a man coming into my life, being swept off my feet again, and off I go with him. That is not going to happen because I am more conscious. I am being very aware of my thoughts, what I'm creating for myself, and I don't make quick choices anymore. The choices I've been making of the last few months, just a few months, have been very much choices that are made in prayer and in deep thought, and I've pulled it apart. So what happens if you do that? So if I make that choice and I want to do that, where's that going to leave me? So I'm looking at things from that perspective of all round. How's this going to affect my life? How's it going to affect the people around me? What are the consequences of me making those choices for myself right now? And so that's been a wonderful journey. So I want to say to you, whoever is out there listening, don't be afraid to make some really new choices for yourself. Don't be afraid to dream big. But think them through. Feel them through. Look at it. Write it down. If I do this and I do that, what are the consequences? Don't leave yourself a surprise element where you go, oh gosh, I didn't expect that. Wasn't thinking of that. So take your time. Do your deep breathing. Do your contemplation. Get on your knees and pray. Ask God for guidance, for answers in what you're wishing to do. You're dreaming big. Your changes. But if you don't change, if you're not growing through every situation in your life, if you're not understanding yourself more, if you're not knowing yourself more deeply, you're just doing the same. It's just going to be a very dull old age. And even though I have spoken about this, age is a fact. 64 for me is a fact. But the fact is I've also got a lot of life in me. I've got a life that I love. I absolutely love my life. I'm so grateful. And that doesn't mean it's perfect. And that doesn't mean I haven't still made mistakes or said stupid things or got my foot out of my mouth another. It doesn't mean it's perfect or that I have crappy days. I have crappy days. I have days where I feel really deeply saddened by the things I've done in my past, the people I miss, the opportunities I missed out on. I feel really disappointed and sad. But I don't allow myself to wallow. It's a lesson. It's a growth. It's an opportunity to learn. It's 64 means wisdom. 64 means I can take a bit more of a chance. And I know a lot of you out there, including myself, there's fears about finances. So I'm not saying to go and do something wild and wacky that you're going to spend all your money on. Wise choices, personal growth choices. Who are you? What do you want out of life? What do you love? What are your passions? Grow older knowing yourself. Take the opportunity to learn who you are. Take the opportunity to have amazing relationships, to let go of relationships that no longer work, but to really grab onto those that are just beautiful, warm, loving relationships. Be that person who is really aware and conscious of her or his choices, your thoughts, your choices of what you're putting into your body, your choices of what you're thinking, how you're reacting, those things. Be wise. Use those years not to be bitter and drink your sorrows down and smoke yourself to death. Be wise. Longevity means healthier lifestyle, a really stress-free life as best as we can do it, and healthy choices, stress-free life, and for me, a spiritual life. My spiritual life consists of praying, of talking to God like He's my bestie, sharing my problems and leaning into God and Jesus and giving my problems over and having absolute faith that every step I take now is with better choices, 100%, and not rushed. Only when things fall into place, they're the miracles to me in my life. When I watch this thing happen for that thing to happen, and I go, thank you, God, that's absolutely perfect, and I'll take it. And I can see where I'm being taken, where I'm being led, where I'm being guided. It's not just, I'm leaving, I can't stand this. And believe me, it feels like that. It feels like that more often than not at the moment, I can tell you. I just want to go, I just want to pack my bags and go. But I ask God for a solution. What's the solution for today? What's that? Because when I'm happier and there's a solution, I'm a more viable human being. I have my purpose shows through. I'm willing to be more helpful to others. I'm a lot calmer and certainly not reactive. So they're the things that I ask for assistance in. Show me the solution, please, God. Am I in the right direction? How can I be of service? So that to me is why that inner prayer and the outer prayer for me might work for you too. And if prayer's not the road that you want to go on, and that's not what you're looking for, then do some deep breathing. Do some mindfulness. Calm your body down. Calm your heart rate and your mind so that you can get clearer answers and much better decisions for yourself. Remember, every decision you make for yourself is a consequence somewhere else in the world. And if that consequence is benefiting people and it's the best outcome, then you've made the best choice. But if you're jumping out of the fry pan into the fire, it's not going to be the choice that you should have made. And I'm not saying that you can't make a choice and then pick up the pieces and re-choose, because what I'm doing this stage of my life might be very different in another 10 years or 5 years. But the basis of my life, the core of me, knows who she is now. The core of me is happy with who I am. I've learnt to love myself and to honour myself through God's eyes. And I no longer will take advantage of my ability to be quick in decision making. It still might be quick for others, yeah, and I'm sure it is, because a lot of people can't move quickly in life with decisions. It's okay, we're all different on that. But everything I do, whether it seems like it or not to you or anybody else, has been well thought out and well prayed for. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's getting really cold in here and I'm going to go and turn my heater on. Can't do it while I'm on video because it's so loud. It's an old clunker. But I really hope you enjoyed it, and please leave a comment for me if this is something that's benefiting you, something you're enjoying and getting something out of. I'd love to hear from you. If you've got a criticism of any way, be kind. I'm happy to hear it, but be kind. Take care, and I'll see you again next week. Bye for now.